My name is Ava, and I just wanted to say a really big warm welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today, especially to third and fourth class from St. Scottus School and also their teachers. Thank you so much for being here with us today at the launch of our MS Ireland Readathon. This is the 36th year of the MS Ireland Readathon. It was launched by Royal in 1988. Wow. So we're very excited about being here today. What is really incredible actually is the National Printing team. I have to say it's been wonderful. Thank you so much for having us, Carl and your team. Really engaging, entertaining, brought everything to life. I really enjoyed it, and I know I could see that the students did as well. So thank you so much for doing that and for hosting us today. We really appreciate it. So just for me to say that the MS Readathon is MS Ireland's biggest fundraising campaign. So we're really excited about getting lots of young people and actually readers of all ages reading thousands of books in November to raise money for us to be able to provide services to people with MS. We couldn't provide services without everything that you guys do. So all the schools and all the young people and all the grown-up readers that raise money and create awareness during November is really powerful, and it's incredible for MS Ireland's perspective, and it allows us to continue to provide services, which is why we exist. So I just want to really thank everybody for participating in that, and your school as well, because the school continuously supports us. We have a few really important people here with us today. So I'm going to introduce you to Rick O'Shea, who is here with us. Rick is synonymous with everything to do with books, reading, authors. He really encourages the Irish authors. He has also got the largest book club in Ireland with 40,000 readers. So we're really excited to have Rick with us. Also incredible to have Shirley here with us today. Shirley's come from Clare. Shirley's our Readathon ambassador for this year, and has done a really fantastic video for us with her two children, and Shirley will talk to you in a while. And our fantastic authors, who I know you all want to hear from, so that's really why I need to pass over to Rick. But I'd like to introduce you to Alan, Nolan, and Nicola Price. Nicola, who are here to talk about their book. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to pass you over to Rick.
Cool. You're done. You're out. You're out. It's all good. You're out.
Out the gap.
Hi, everybody. That was terrible. This is awful. Let's try that again. Hi, everybody. Hi. Seriously, you guys have snacks. You've got free fidget spinners. Come on. One more time, okay? Hi, everybody. That'll do for now. That's okay. That's good. Hi, my name is Rick, and yeah, Ava is right. I do a lot of things. I'm on RTE. I work on radio. I play music, but I have spent all of my life as a reader, and I started reading when I was definitely younger than you guys, and I never thought when I was your age I would one day be able to make it like half of my job is just reading stuff, and it's the best job imaginable. And yeah, I run a little book club as well. There's about 40,000 of us. 40,000 people, it's, we're okay. It's very hard to get us all in one room, but we try sometimes. We've never tried that. That's not a bad idea. I should try that. It's not a terrible idea. I know you're going, who is this guy and how can I get more snacks? I understand this, and I will answer both of those questions for you in a few minutes.
We have no more snacks.
No more promises.
I wasn't told there weren't any more snacks. So my apologies. There are no more snacks. We make the ones you have last. I'm going to introduce the people that we have here who are going to have a little chat with you. And I know you guys are brilliant about being really quiet and really not chatty. You can rustle. Rustling is really good. And whenever people come up, give them a big round of applause. Let's try a big round of applause. First one. Let's give it a go. Here we go. That, again, it's a medium round of applause, but we'll work on that for the next one. Okay, I'm going to introduce you our first speaker. She is the ambassador this year for the MS Readathon, and her name is Shirley Keane O'Brien.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Is it okay if I stay here? It's okay if I stay there, because I've got a bad leg. Hi, everyone. So my name is Shirley Keane. It's lovely to be here. You're all so adorable. So yeah, I guess you're wondering why I'm here and what is my association with MS and why I decided to become an ambassador for Readathon. So I have MS, and I was diagnosed with MS maybe 4 years ago, just before COVID happened and we all had to go into lockdown and You guys all got time off school or whatever happened in your schools, which is great fun. So my experience with Readathon, I have two children too. So they're teenagers now. They're 15 and 16. So they're doing their junior cert and they're doing their leaving cert. But when they were third and fourth class, they always took part in Readathon, and they used to have competitions about who would read the most books, and we'd have some fun. My son Evan loved the Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. Anybody read them? Okay, excellent. No, but I haven't. But the character is really funny, and he's I know we've all the books at home anyway, but I know he's really wimpy and funny, right? And then my daughter loved the Dr. Seuss, Cat in the Hat. Anybody read those books? Yes. Yes, there is. Yes, that's right. So my daughter was reading all those books while my son was reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And they used to have a competition about who's going to read more books during Readathon. And I just was told, well, I had to extend lights out at bedtime because they had to read books. So that went on a lot longer than it should have. But it was a good cause, reading books and stuff. Have you a question?
That sounds like food for the brain.
Food for the brain. Oh, I must read those. Thank you for that recommendation. Do you know who the author is of that book? Is that?
No, I mean the books when you
read them. It's food for the brain. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. You're so right. It is. And there's a quote that Dr. Seuss says in one of his books. And he says, the more you read, the more you know. Does anybody know this? The more you read, the more you know. The more you know, the more places you will go. Do you remember that?
I've heard that.
Yeah? So that's very appropriate for you guys when you're reading during the month of November, or whenever you're reading. It would be great. So that's really, I think, when I was asked to become an ambassador for the Readathon campaign and having an MS and having such a great, wonderful, fun experience at home with my own kids, of course, I did not hesitate, and I've had a lot of fun with it, and we can't wait to get reading in November. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I do a lot of reading myself. So yeah, we're having some competitions at home about who's going to read the most and how we're going to reward each other. So I hope you guys will do something similar at home too. Deal? Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
I forgot to say, good news is you will get to ask questions of our authors afterwards. So if anybody has a question, wow. No, you don't get to ask it yet. Hold that question. Do you have that question? Is it stuck in your head? Can you keep it there for like 5 minutes? Okay, you get to ask the first question. After our authors have done their readings from their books, then we get to ask questions. Unless it's, can I go to the toilet? Is it, can I go to the toilet? Is your question, can I go to the toilet? That's okay then, in which case then you can stay there for 5 minutes, that's fine. If it was that, then you might have to do it a little bit more quickly. Okay, our two authors today, I'm going to introduce our first one. You might know him particularly if you've read At the Dead Zoo. Anybody read At the Dead Zoo? Oh. This is the guy who wrote it, Alan Nolan.
Thank you.
It's lovely to be here this morning. I am going to read a little bit out of my book. I have two books at the moment. One is called The Sackville Street Caper, and the other one is called Double Trouble at the Dead Zoo. And they have two very famous Dubliners in them. Guys, are you guys from Dublin? Yeah. Hands up if you live in Dublin. Oh, well, a lot of you live in Dublin. Well, these two guys are from Dublin. One is called Molly Malone. Have you ever heard of Molly Malone? She is a girl who's famous from the song that I think every tourist, every stag party from Essex, every hand party from Sheffield, every bunch of German tourists who come to Temple Bar, I think by law they have to sign something and sing this song. And it goes like this. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone. And Molly Malone, in my book, she is a part-time fishmonger, like she is in the song, where it goes, she was fishmonger, take a cockles, alive. Well, in my book, she's 11 years old. She's a part-time fishmonger, and she's a full-time pickpocket. She goes around the place robbing people's pockets. She takes notes out of their pockets, and she takes silk handkerchiefs out of their pockets, and she takes wallets out of her pocket, and she doesn't do it because she's mean or greedy or evil. She does it just because it's 1858, and if you have no money in 1858, if you're an orphan, like Molly Malone is in my books, she's 11 years old, she's no mum, she's no dad, no auntie, no uncle, no granny, no granddad. If you were an orphan in 1858, you had no money, you had two choices. Either go to work in the workhouse. Have you heard of the workhouse? It was a terrible place. It was like a prison for children. They keep you in there. They'd work you long, long hours. They wouldn't give you any money. They'd just give you rotten potatoes to eat and milk. And it was so watered down, Shirley, that it looked like cloudy water. It was disgusting. So she doesn't want that to do that. So she goes out onto the streets and she robs people's pockets just to get some money. So I'm going to read a little bit out of the book where we will meet Molly Malone. It's where the reader is introduced to Molly. You find out about Molly and her little gang. That's called the Sackville Street Spooks. Before I start, does anybody know where Sackville Street is nowadays? Will I tell? Oh, do you know?
So I've been on it, but I'm not. When I was younger, but I'm not really sure where it is.
I think most people here have probably been on it. I'll give you a clue. It's a huge big street in Dublin. It's our main street. It's got the GPO on one side. It's got Cleary's on the other side. It's got the spire going up the middle. Do you know what it's called, Nathaniel? Do you know what it's called? I'll tell you, it's called O'Connell Street. So they're called the Sackville Street. You've been there before. Yeah. So I will read a tiny bit out of the book. I know, and everybody goes up there when you're going to the Ambassador, or you're going up to the Rotunda Hospital, or you're going to Henry Street, you're going to be on O'Connell Street. So this is a little tiny chapter. It's the smallest chapter in the book. It only takes a couple of minutes to read. It's called Meet Molly, in which champion sneak thief Molly Malone prepares her spooks for a hard day's haunting. Take that saucepan off your head. No. Take it off. No. Molly took a step towards Billy the Pan. Billy the Pan took a step backwards. Would you wear that saucepan in anyways, Billy? Asked Shep. My dad says it needs a tread, said Billy, not taking his eyes off Molly. A tread? Your dad's a beggar man, laughed Shep. And so is me granddad. And so is me granddad's dad. Look, it's not easy to make a living as a beggar man nowadays. Dublin's full of beggar men. My dad says I need to be able to stand out. So, I wear a saucepan on me head. Billy knocked his knuckles on the battered side of the pan. It sounded hollow. Not today, said Molly, balling her fingers into fists. We are going bobbing today. And bobbers who don't want to get caught by the constables, don't try to stand out from the crowd. Take it off, now! Billy knew that look. Billy took the saucepan off. Right, said Molly, line up and let's have a look at you. She stuck her two tongues into the once white pinafore she wore over her faded blue dress and inspected her crew like a particularly picky Dragoon Guard drill sergeant. In all her 11 years, she'd never seen a sorry looking punch. Billy was lanky, had the beginnings of a moustache, and could have passed for a servant if his clothes were less ragged, and if he wasn't carrying that stupid saucepan. Shep was around 8 or 9, didn't know when his birthday was, with tight black curly hair and a constantly dribbling nose. Rose was 10, with red hair just like Molly. She wore a blue dress stolen from a washing line at Bride Street, so she could look even more like her idol. Calico Tom was the smallest of them. An orphan with wavy blonde hair and a cherubic baby face. He looked much younger than his 6 years. He could almost pass for a toddler. He'd be a stunner when he's older, thought Molly. But his arms are too little to reach into the quality's pocket. He'll have to be the lookout, or maybe the distraction. Lastly, of course, there was Her Majesty, a knee-high mutt with curly brown fur, big floppy ears, and a long, lolling tongue. Now, she was always slightly smelly, but in Molly's opinion, she gave the best cuddles in Dublin. All right, said Molly, here's the plan. It's the lost baby caper again, she declared, standing up. We go to Sackville Street as a gang, hiding Calico Tom from view. When we get to Nelson's Pillar, we drop the baby and walk away. Calico, how's your whaling? We can wail with the mountain goat, said the tiny boy in an unexpectedly deep voice. No bother at all. Grand, said Molly. Next Tom Wales said he's lost his mammy. The quality gathers to see what's wrong with him. And then we do our magic tricks. Our magic tricks, asked Rose, who was new to the game. Making wallets, pocketbooks, and silk handkerchiefs disappear, of course, replied Molly. Right, there's money to be made. Spooks, let's go a haunting. That's the end of the reading. Oh, thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, and thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
Now we're going to do questions after.
Yeah, we'll do questions afterwards. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Don't worry, you've got questions. We'll get to them afterwards. Still too early. You are so close to your question, but it's still too early. Just a little bit. Is that okay? Fidget spin for a minute. Okay. Our next writer up today, she has written Chasing Ghosts. Anybody read Chasing Ghosts, amongst other things? No? Yeah, sorry. But interesting. Oh. Can you put your hands together, please, for Nicola Pierce?
Oh, I really wish I said I'd go first. Well, my name is Nicola Pierce. I'm originally from Tala, but I'm living today in Drogheda, so I had to get up at 5:30 this morning to get an early train to get a taxi out here to the museum today. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. So I've written 6 books. My favourite subjects in school were English and history, and I get to write books about something that has actually happened. So I've written about the Titanic. Has anybody heard of the Titanic? Okay, I've written about the Titanic, and I really wish I brought that book with me. I've written about World War II. I've written about 2 ships going off to the Arctic, 130 men, and they were never ever seen again.
It's Britannic and Titanic. The 2 brothers.
Yes. Now I wish I brought the Titanic book with me. I've brought this one. This is my new book, and today it is 3 weeks old, which means it's just come out into the bookshops today. It was a book I did not want to write. My publisher asked me, would I write a book about the Irish famine, about the overcrowded workhouses, so Ellen and I have written about workhouses, and about young Irish girls aged between the ages of 14 and 18 who are asked if they would like to leave the workhouse and Ireland forever and sail off to Australia. When my publisher said this to me, I said, no, I don't want to write that book, thank you very much. That sounds really sad. You want me to write about the famine? You want me to write about the workhouse? You want me to write about leaving Ireland and everyone you know behind forever? I said, I don't know how to put all of that in a book. But they said to me, well, we really want the book written, so if you don't want to write it, we'll ask someone else to do it. And I said, I'll do it. So how I get myself interested in writing books is I use photographs a lot. Now, I'd never heard about these girls being sent off to Australia. But then I went to Mayo to talk about the Titanic, and outside a library in Ballina was this gorgeous statue of a young girl. And I could not believe my eyes. This statue is in memory of 138 Mayo orphan famine girls sent to Australia from Ballina, Castlebar and Westport, all victims of the Great Hunger, which is the big famine in Ireland when the potato went bad. So I couldn't believe it. People knew about the story, I didn't, but this helped me to get more excited. The next thing I did is I needed a character. And so I found this photograph. Now, these girls weren't going to Australia. These were girls that were going to South Africa, but they are young Irish girls. So I would look at this photograph and I would think, does somebody here look really shy? Does somebody look worried? Does somebody look like we know that they've had a terrible time before the photograph was taken? They've lived through a famine, they did survive, but maybe they knew lots of people that died during the famine. Maybe they've had a real rough time in the workhouses, and now they're being asked to leave Ireland forevermore. And did they actually understand what that really meant? So I looked at this, and I felt ideas began to form in my head. What I wanted was a voice to talk to me, because I had no idea where I was going to start the story, or how I was going to tell it. For some reason, I decided to call my main character after my grandmother. Now, this is a very old photograph. I never met my grandmother. She died way before I was born, but that's her there. She was just a little baby. But I feel today that she looks after me. Whenever I feel worried, I ask her to help me, and I absolutely believe that she does. So her name was Margaret Gaffney. The next thing that happened to me is I went to the cinema in Drogheda. I was sitting down to enjoy a film. I was really worried about writing this book. I still didn't really know how I was going to start it, or what I was going to do, or how much I was going to write about the famine or Australia. And all of a sudden, just as my film was about to start, I heard this voice. And the voice said to me, hiya, I'm 100 years of age. I'm in an old folks' home in Australia, and I'm going to tell the story. Now, this has never happened before. This is my 6th book, and I've never had this experience before. And she began to talk at me. She began to tell me what she was going to tell me, and I panicked, and I said, sorry, please, can I watch my film? I then watched the film, raised home, opened up my laptop, and this is how it began. So this is my character. 100-year-old Margaret Gaffney is looking back on her life. She was one of these girls that lived through the famine, that lived through the workhouse, and then volunteered to exchange Ireland from Australia. And it begins. In the year 1935, she's at her 100-year-old birthday party. I think I will die today. Do you hear me, God? Tell your mother to put the kettle on. I will be joining you just as soon as I can, just as soon as I am done here. Until then, I will smile and pretend to like my birthday cake when I would rather a whiskey. 100 years is more than enough years for one person, I reckon, particularly when it means putting up with scenes like this. That foolish woman, Mrs. Olson, putting her face too close to mine to bellow into my good ear, "Now, Marjorie, you must blow out your candles for the photographer." She has been eating garlic. I wrinkle my nose in disgust. The photographer looks as bored as I feel. Well, good enough for him. I can smell his awful aftershave from here. I do not want my photograph taken. Then again, I do not want a birthday party, but here we all are. On my bedside locker sits my birthday card from King George V, if you please. No, he is not my king, but he does not know that. Anyway, it's not personal, because he sends a card to everyone on their 100th birthday, or his secretary does at any rate. Do you want to know what it says? It's not very comforting or cheerful, but it is honest, I'll give him that much. His Majesty hopes that the blessings of good health and prosperity may attend you during the remainder of your days. Remainder of your days, said Rosie, giggling. He doesn't want to organise an anthem for your 101st. Rosie is my favourite nurse. She holds the cake in front of me so I can blow out the 4 candles. Well, they could hardly expect me to blow out 100 candles. Rosie decided on 4, with each one representing a quarter of my 100 years. She's great like that, is Rosie, for coming up with practical solutions. Another example of her cleverness is her bribing me to play along with this silliness. Taking my hand in hers, she solemnly promised that she would get me as much whiskey as I wanted. All I had to do was look like I was enjoying myself for 20 or 25 minutes. Deal, I thought, as I squeezed her hand for my reply. I have not spoken since my last stroke, when my mouth collapsed to one side and my voice was lost in the chaos. Oh, Lord help me, Mrs. Olson is clapping her hands for silence so that she can be heard telling everyone to sing happy birthday. How funny to think that I was born on the other side of the world. These days I almost forget it myself, and I bet not many in this room would believe it now. Since I cannot talk, I don't know what remains of my Cork accent. Maybe I would have liked to see Ireland one more time, only it would have been like going backwards, while I've always maintained that one must only go full steam ahead. Things I remember about Ireland: being hungry, being cold, and being miserable. No, that's not fair. There's other stuff too. For instance, that certain shade of green worn by the fields around Skibbereen in Cork. Never have I seen that particular green since. Oh, and the smell of a turf fire, and the sweetness of Dada's pipe, and the awful, awful smell of death and dying and rotting potatoes. Yes, that smell has proved impossible to forget, which is unfair considering that I have all but forgotten what my parents looked like. I remember dark hair, but I can't say more than that. Before my hair turned white, it was a mousy brown, the kind of brown that is almost apologetic. Maybe if I'd stayed in Ireland, my hair would have been as dark as my parents. It was the Australian sun that made short work of me, burning my skin raw and diluting the colour of my hair. Australia changed me in every way, I reckon. No, there can't be much of Ireland left in me. But isn't a birthday an opportunity to think about everything that has led me to this moment? Huddled here beneath my old blanket while pretending to nod along, keeping time with the chorus. For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow. A jolly good fellow, was I? Well, let us see.
Yeah.
I would just keep on reading.
Don't go too far, either of you. Okay. You. Come here. What's your name? What's your name? Miguel. Hi. It's your turn. You get to ask your question, Miguel. Do you want to stand up? Ah, no, it's not a question. No, okay. Go. Okay, go.
I was on
Mm-hmm.
Put one book of John's and John's Beach of the same.
Nice.
Are from
Rolled out.
Yeah.
they did do that in 2018.
And did you like it?
Yeah. Good.
Awesome. That's good. That's fine. That's good. I like James and the Giant Peach. Boom. Okay. Now, does anybody have a question for either of our authors? Because I thought we had. Oh, you're even better. Fantastic. Fast hands. Go, what's your name?
My name is Ava.
Hi, Ava.
For Neil. How did you think of making that book?
How do I think of making the book? Oh, well, I am from Dublin originally, and when I was a kid, I used to love going into Dublin, walking all around the place and looking at all the different places and thinking up stories about the GPO and thinking up stories about Dublin Castle and thinking up stories about Smithfield Market. So when I was older then, I decided, I will write a story about the most famous Dublin girl of all, called Molly Malone, and about one of the most famous Dublin boys, because there's another boy in the book who's really famous because he's 11 years old in the book, but when he grew up, he wrote one of my favorite scary books. You know what the scary book is called? Dracula. Has anybody ever read Dracula? Don't read Dracula! It's too scary. I used to have nightmares about Dracula when I was reading it, because I was 11 when my granny gave it to me, and I'd wake up. What? He is from Transylvania. Well, yeah, he's from Transylvania. And Transylvania, do you know where Transylvania is? It's actually in Romania. Anybody from Romania here? A family from Romania? Well, sometimes I go into class with families from Romania.
Romania.
Oh, wow, cool. But that's the thing. Dracula is from Transylvania, but he's actually half Irish because he was written by a man with a big beard who looked like Santa Claus gone wrong, called Bram Stoker. And he's from Clontarf. So I was a big fan of Bram Stoker. I wrote a story about him when he was a little boy. So Molly Malone and Bram Stoker kind of inspired, and my granny for giving me a scary book. So that's how I wrote it. Great question.
Good question. Really like it. Well done. Good question. Good man, Abel. Okay. Anybody else got a question? Whoa there. I'm sorry. I didn't even know there were people on the stairs. Hello, people on the stairs.
Hello.
You're so far back. Hello. Okay. Go. What's your name? Yeah, and give me your question.
Oh, I love that question.
That's a good
Great
question. Where can you buy the books?
All the bookshops. All bookshops should have them. Thank you so much for
Bookshops
And
everywhere.
libraries too.
I was going to say libraries too.
Very important.
Libraries too everywhere as well.
Because all the books are free in the libraries.
Yeah,
Sorry. So sorry, guys on the stairs. Completely missed you. Didn't know you were there. Hello. Hi. Okay. We can take one more question. Does anybody have one more question? No.
Okay, then
Who's Nathaniel? Which one's he? Oh, here. Right. Oh, literally, he's gone to ask.
The question was from Nathaniel, do we have garlic? I think that's the word off the vampires. We don't.
Yes,
when
we
Nicola
don't.
happens to be wearing a little crucifix.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if any
okay.
vampires attack any child
We're
here,
safe,
we
we're
will
safe.
jump in and save your lives.
We're
We'll be
safe.
like magical.
You are not going to be attacked by vampires. Just for legal reasons, I have to say you're not going to be attacked by vampires. Everybody,
Yes.
can I say
Not
just
gonna
before we finish up, thank you so much for being. I've done events in front of like audiences of adults who weren't as well behaved as you guys were, and who weren't as great as you were, and as
Very
quiet
good.
as you were, and as nice as you were. So thank you so much for coming along today. Enjoy your fidget spinners. May they bring you much joy.
Yes.
And enjoy the readathon as well. Who's doing the readathon? The answer is, oh my God, everybody's hand needs to go up for who's doing the readathon. Everybody. You've got the hope. That's fine. Have a good readathon. Thanks a million for coming along this morning, and thanks for joining us. Thank you, guys.